Right here, says Jose Juan Sorribes, is where his neighbour's holiday home once stood. Today all that's left is this pile of rubble. It was destroyed in a devastating winter storm last year. They've become more and more common. Sorribes says they show climate change is increasingly endangering Spain's Ebro Delta. For years, locals have demanded better coastal protections, but their calls have fallen on deaf ears.
The storms and authorities in action are harming us. They won't let people in the Ebro Delta protect their land. Our hands are tied, as we can't do anything without an official permission. Something, anything, must be done.
Locals are growing desperate. Extreme weather events and rising seawater levels have eroded the coast, leaving little more than this strip of land near the river delta. It is the last line of defence between the sea and the countless rice paddies that lie inland. The Spanish government wants to nationalise over 800 hectares of privately owned land to turn it into an additional buffer zone. But the plan angers local rice farmers. Sorribes fears he could lose half of his crops, and it's not clear what sort of compensation he would receive in return. Most farmers are not only concerned about financial losses, though.
This is emotional. In many cases, rice fields have been passed on for many generations. I worked very hard to get mine. The government's plan doesn't bode well for the delta. In fact, it will destroy the delta and our values.
But not everyone opposes the government's plan. Environmentalists regard the delta as one of Europe's most important wetlands. Over 300 bird species inhabit the region. Sofia Revais runs a private bird sanctuary. She thinks there's no point in piling up tons of sand or dumping wave breakers in the sea as farmers are demanding.
The predominant mentality was to exploit nature to the fullest when practically the entire delta was transformed into rice fields. Now it's time for change, but not everyone approves of this. Scientists say natural solutions are better suited to reducing the effects of climate change. Denying this is like denying COVID.
For a long time, environmental groups have been protesting against another, related problem. The Ebro River is carrying less and less sediment into the delta. That's because dozens of dams further upriver are keeping the mud back. And mud is what the delta is made of. At this rally, demonstrators pour soil into the river to highlight that without natural sediments, the delta will be at even greater risk from climate change.
It's very important to restore the river's ecological impact. Otherwise, it will be extremely difficult to offset the effects of climate change, specifically the flooding and loss of land.
Rice farmer Sorribes and his friends, meanwhile, could not disagree more. They don't want to wait years for the river to carry more sediments. Instead, they are expecting the government to take immediate action. After all, other countries are already protecting their coastlines, they say.
We could face serious economic decline, for instance, in the construction sector. If that's allowed to happen, who will invest in our delta?
Locals are divided over how to deal with the threat of climate change and the eroding Ebro Delta. Though it might be too late if they wait until environmentalists, farmers and the government reach a consensus. The next winter storm is always just around the corner.